Good morning, everybody. This is audio check, audio check, audio check.
Fortune, perhaps we should
check 1 2 1
Doge
2.
take a look hard.
Check. It's going. It says it's going out on the stream. Everything's fine. But I don't. Can you? Maybe it's just my phone. Can you hear it on the stream? Ladies and gentlemen, drop us a comment if you can hear us.
Yeah, I just heard us. Yeah, they can hear us. So we'll see what's up.
Must be my phone then. That's strange. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Pedro and I will be with you in just a moment here. Try the YouTube stream.
All right, guys. Hope everybody's doing well today. Today's going to be a speed round. I'm going to go over everything really quick. And the reason why is I have some prior appointments I have to take care of. I've got to be out of here by 12:45, which is basically 30 minutes. So the usual banter and having a good time between me and Tom talking about the markets and everything that correlates with it, it's kind of going to be a bit short because I got to cut through all this stuff and then see what happens here. And so I apologize for everything that potentially that might take a while that we normally talk about things. But if you could, please hit the like button and share button. That'd be great.
All right, Pedro, well, let's get into it. We'll make this really quick. Hello, everybody. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking. The man in the box is Pedro Garcia. It is July 1st, 2025, and it's Technical Tuesday, and it's Canada's birthday. And I'll be talking about Canada and its blockchain and its crypto progress after Pedro gets done with this Technical Tuesday segment, so stick around for that. But Pedro, what is
Yes.
going on in the world of Bitcoin and the economic indicators of the world?
Really interesting. The reality is that we are starting to go down. We're watching the stock market go up, which is again a divergence of what we've seen. Now, it's been really interesting to see that there are times where Bitcoin will start to lead the pack before everything else starts. So it's really interesting. So, like I said, we've had such low volume. And then yesterday we had a pickup of a lot of seller volumes. I said, yeah, this thing should go down. You know, how many times have I said should, and it just decides to do the opposite.
Right.
So, okay, got it. All right, guys. So let me show you here real quick. We've got a play here. I want to just show that you guys, you can take part in this. This is a quick play. Again, this is not a hold it until you die play. This is quick and easy play. It's down at this purple line, which is on the USDC Bitfinex, but find out what your personal chart looks like. This is on the daily chart, and right below, right here. Okay, so you have this big bodied candle, and then you have a wick that comes down. Right below here is a bunch of stops there. So this is an area that you can be able to play this. All right. And this will be a decent amount of money. I'm talking, you can get a 2-to-1, 3-to-1. But at first, I always talk about get your 1-to-1 ratio and take off 60 to 70%. Okay. And then from there, if it continues higher, try to get a 2-to-1, 3-to-1, if not further. Again, this is quick money. You're going in and you're getting out. Okay. And it's right below here. You want to wait until it gets above the 8-period moving average with volume as it comes back and tests that area, which is going to be the 8-period moving average. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put your stop below the local low, or excuse me, the low. And then as soon as it rises, so this is a good example. Imagine this was right here, right? So I'll get above the 8. Now there's not a lot of volume in this, so I have a very, very small chance it's going to continue. But what you would do is you would put your low right here, or you put your stop right underneath here. You'd go short as it tests that 8, or excuse me, long as it tests that 8, and then you're looking to catch it up. As soon as you make a new higher high, you're going to move your stop underneath the local low. So see how you have a higher high right here? This is where you're going to then take your 1-to-1 ratio from here to here. Your 1-to-1 ratio would have been from here, and then hitting this would have been a high. Okay, so that higher high, you would have made money. And then from there, you're going to leave your stop right here at the local low, or right here at this local low. And if it continues higher, great. If it does not, cool. You've made your money. Thank you. Have a good day. Sayonara. Right? Boom. So right here, this little play. Come on, I don't got time for this. I don't got time for this.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. All right. So you guys can see here, we've hit our supply area. We're starting to come back down here. I'm expecting us to come hit these lower lows. We should see a bounce off of this trend line. This is a monthly trend line. So we should see it, but I think we're going to come down and test that 100, which is going to be at 97. I'm going to encourage you guys, this is not financial advice. This is entertainment, educational purposes only, but put in $100 to $500 into Bitcoin at around that 100 area. So you will own 0.1% of Bitcoin, and don't touch it. If you haven't bought any Bitcoin yet, cool, whatever. In 20, 30 years, when that thing sits at 300, 400, 500,000, a market value that holds real digital gold, you'll be happy. You can pass it on to your children and your children's children. But I'm just giving you heads up when it hits that lower low. Now, I expect it to go lower, and we'll talk about that. But I just want to encourage you guys to do that. All right, let's jump into, like I said, I got to go quick here. So I'm expected to come down here into this week and then see if it continues. Again, and I want to point this out. We went up on Sunday, and Monday we came down, Tuesday we came down. All right, so this is important. We've already put in the seller wick, which is for the weekly wick here. You can see that, boom. And now we're going down. Let's check out the macro.
Welcome to the show, Crypto Mike. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. So the world is totally stoked and has so much opium, it's ridiculous. But the economic situation from a fundamental standpoint isn't necessarily the best situation, especially in America. And they keep saying, oh, it's great, it's granddaddy, everybody's happy camper. But people are getting laid off. People are getting their jobs hours dropped. And additionally to that, there are people starting to lose houses, and buying of houses are slowing down. So it's important to pay attention to these small details that are important to look at. Even though everybody's saying, yay, we're moving up, let's keep going, all-time highs, yay, right? The reality is this, is we're seeing a decrease in volume, okay? And even in this huge rally up, again, this is the iShare World ETF, okay? And you can see here, you see that we had low amounts of volume. And at the peak, you're seeing that we're starting to see a bit of pickup and seller volume right here at these levels. So I'm expecting to see this thing drop. Again, this is the weekly chart here, right? So I want you guys to be paying
explain
attention.
what the iShare is again.
The iShare is simply just it's a company that basically creates.
Oh, I'm sorry.
ETFs.
I forgot. I meant, what's the ETF represent?
Oh, the ETF represents the world's stocks economy, the top stocks in the
total
world.
stock market cap.
Yeah, I think there's about 5,000 of them. But ultimately, you can see right here in a nutshell. All right, next. Now, it's similar to what they're paying attention to the United States. And we hit this area right here back a couple of weeks ago. We sold off. I expected us to come in because we had a bit of above average volume. About the same, but you can see our above average volume was sitting right here and it was below. So I expected us to see a sell-off. We did not. We continued up. But over the last couple of weeks, you can see we've had a drop in volume. So I'm expecting us to go down. Again, I don't expect this to continue up. I don't see any demand wicks on the weekly, and as well as on the daily chart. I don't see a ton of demand wicks, right? It's just kind of look at this over the last couple of weeks. This right here is the only day, which was a doji, which signs of indecision, right here, where we put a smaller demand or a bigger demand wick than the last week. And then everywhere else, we've literally traded through, except down into here, this level right here at 5,400, which is the S&P 500. So I expect us to at least come down and tap this area right here, that 53, as a pullback. So we're talking 5,400, we're talking an 800-point drop or pullback, all right? That would basically be about, boom, about 10% pullback of a retracement, at least there. Once things really starts to hit, we'll see what happens. But that's what I'm expecting to see here. All right, let's check out the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ controls typically go hand in hand with who? Bitcoin. They're both in the same kind of sector. So we're seeing, even though the S&P 500 is rallying because it's the top 500 strongest stocks, companies in the United States, the NASDAQ is one of the top, or it's the top 100 tech stocks. And we're going to go over that in a second. Give me 1 second.
Pedro's on a roll, ladies and gentlemen. To everyone watching us on Rumble, thank you very much for joining us. Really
and please hit the like. Please hit the like and the share button.
Follow. Just do it.
Please do. All right, so you can see here, we're coming down already. We've talked about the decrease in volume that we've been watching here. And every time we have down days, we have an increase in volume in comparative to the rest of the days. So that communicates to me that they're putting in their shorts for it to topple over. We just hit all-time highs, okay? And I know you're like, Pedro, we just hit all-time high. Why are you trying to short? I am expecting a sell-off, like I said earlier. Now, again, I'm expecting maybe a 10%, 15%. And if it keeps going, catches wings, it could be pretty bad. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to drop the rates, and in dropping the rates, they're going to end up allowing people to be able to get in on the housing market. We've talked about the housing market starting to get really weak. And so this idea is that if we can get people to start to buy houses again, feel comfortable, right? Rates are going lower. Companies can borrow more money, right? And the reality is they'll be able to keep their employees, or at least give them back the hours that they needed. And so this is where I'm expecting to see this situation happen. All right. Now, here's the thing we can see right here. We've got that 8 and we've got that 20 here. We've got to push through. If we're going to go through, the only next step here is at this level here. Okay. You can see here. But after that, it's kind of a free fall back down to the lows of the 1800. So I'm going to point this out here real quick.
And I might add, Pedro, we were actually on the going up this morning here. I had a nice pump in both NASDAQ and Bitcoin going. And Jerome Powell is speaking in front of the House Banking Committee again, House Financial Services Committee. And the more they have him testify, the more the markets just don't work correctly because people pull their liquidity out of the market while he speaks. And I got to tell the Congress, stop interviewing this guy. It's like the 4th day now. And every day it just ruins market liquidity.
Well, the thing is he says truths that are half truths, and most people can see it. And so the reality is, and he's a great speaker, but when you can see the numbers and then you hear him talk, you're like, bro, something's amiss. Now, I've talked about when it comes to inflation earlier last week, the things that we eat, that food that they eat is going up. In addition to that, the prices of the things that we eat are going up as well. We went over the charts yesterday. So if you want to go back and look at last week's Technical Tuesday, I explain it. And then also on Wednesday, I explain a little bit more, going over in detail as well. So you can see here that this right here of the NASDAQ, I'm expecting it to kind of at least come back and tap that 8 period, which is the 22,473 area. If it gets down into here and I start to see big volume coming on the seller side, that means they're going through, they're going to push it back up to drop it again. So we'll be paying attention to that into it next week. Let's check out the Russell. The Russell of all things have been kind of blowing me away. This thing, I did expect it to see kind of be the bellwether of the market.
Yeah.
And this thing is going up, which is kind of blowing me away. But at the same time, what do we see? We're seeing a drop in volume. And on the days that we see a lot of sellers come in, what do we see? An excessive amount of buyers, or excuse me, an excessive amount of sellers. So that's why I'm a bit just timid about going long here. Again, it feels like it's a rope-a-dope here. Now we've got a couple supply areas here on the weekly chart, which is basically I'm looking at more up here into this level. And let me pull this up here real quick just to make sure.
Powell did testify today that they would have lowered rates had it not been for tariffs. He just came right out and said it.
This man.
He just said, well, he was asked directly and finally said, yeah. He said the discussion amongst the committee was that we would lower it, but the tariffs were a hedge against inflation, or the tariffs were going to cause inflation, so we had to hedge by not lowering them. So found that quite interesting.
Yeah, I think it's silly for him to sit there and say that because it makes him an adversary.
He should have just said it is what it is. We voted as a committee. That's what we do. Yeah. And any other questions? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree. So you can see here that this area, we could come back and tap that area here and then see it descend. There's a lot of sellers sitting right here in this level here. So it's a weekly, daily, and intraday time frame. It's not monthly, but you can still see the idea behind it, that it looks as if we could hit this market would come up, take all these stops here, tap out into the weekly, and then see it drop here. So I would expect in potentially we could see the Russell continue up and into that level up here. Up at this level here, we have all-time highs, which is sitting at that 24.7 or 2471 area. Let's check out the bonds or yields for bonds. We've talked about the yield for bonds coming down into our lower level here, which is going to be that 325 area pretty soon. Right now we're staying at the 425 area. And so you can see how on the monthly chart, we're hitting that 8 period moving average. We went up for the month at first. Now I'm expecting it to go down. Okay. And so you can see right here pretty quick. We went up, come and tap to go down. I'm expecting this to go down before we go up. They've talked about dropping the rates already. And so I would expect to see this thing come back down. Now, I think Powell and the Fed is playing a big games, trying to make Trump stop with because they're more globalist. They see the world as their oyster, whereas Trump sees America as a centralist perspective, and he wants to make America great, strong. And so this idea behind this little gameplay that they're not like Trump, you need to remove the tariffs and allow free trade to really work, but America gets pushed out. And I don't think Trump is going to play that. I think he's going to, like we saw with crude oil,
He doesn't
he's just
play
going to
anything. He just plays his own game.
yeah. And so this is where I think this is kind of where I expect him to play here and just be like, I am playing, bro. Like, this is what we're going to do. You can see here at the month here, we've gone up here. The last few days have been them just simply taking profit on the monthly yield here to go down. You probably asked Pedro, why are you going over a month? Because the month is the basis in which everything is built off of. So if you understand how the base is doing, everything else then gets basically there's a fee between it, right? So you can capture the fee. So if you understand what the month is doing, you can understand what all the other rates are doing. Let's check out the 2-year yield, which is basically the Fed looks at the 2-year yield and the 10-year yield. Okay, that's really where they play off of. You can see here today they put in this the bandwidth, and you can see they're continuing down here as they go up. We may see it continue up a little bit, but you can see here on the monthly chart, it might get up to that 4% area, but I really doubt it if we will. I think it will continue down on that monthly chart, and I think we'll hit the weekly, maybe 375 area before we continue down. Right now, we're kind of playing off of the 200 period moving average, sitting on that weekly. You can see we held here, and it looks like we're kind of holding here. We may hold here, but I just highly doubt it because Powell says we'll probably drop rates next month. So I'm expecting this to drop. Now, we've talked about this area being an area of liquidity that you can take apart in this trade and make some money. Again, this goes in the same way that we always talk about. And we'll actually need to, Tom, we need to figure out a way for people to take part in the 2-year yield within crypto so they can be off of TradFi and be able to trade the yields on crypto, which more DeFi. I know there's something out there, but we just got to figure it down. Yes. The other part behind here is now let's check out the 10-year. The 10-year has actually been really interesting simply because you can see here that it's actually been kind of holding at this level here. I'm expecting it to come down, but we're just starting to really pick up this trend. So we're pulling back up into this 8. The 8 is sitting right here at this level. Can you see it? Just so I make sure. Well, let me do that one more time. Right here at this level, you can see that it's in at that 425 area. So I'm expecting us to come and tap that and then pull down. Again, today's the first day of the month. So I'm expecting to go up first to go down. And we've seen where that's what we're watching right now in time. We've talked about this. Now this is the time that we can prepare for it. Okay. So boom. We prepared for it. Now we can actually take advantage of that trade as it comes back down, as I've said, to that 375 area. Next area, let's check out the 20-year real quick. Similar trade. We talked about this trade being right here, that 450 area to the 475 area. There's a good little trade. We have a 200 period moving average on the 20-year yield here. And so that's obviously going to be a play where you can actually take some quick money. Again, it's going to be similar to what we do in crypto. You get in, get your 1-to-1, and then let it run if it runs. But ultimately, you're looking to get your 1-to-1 ratio where you make your money and you get out. Boom. All right. 30-year is going to be a similar situation. Look right here. We're following the 8-period moving average. You can see here, we're probably going to come down to that 200-period moving average. It's already traded. We bounced off it here of that. We had a zone right above, so we're going to erase that. That was a daily zone. Now this is a monthly zone. Right below that monthly zone, you have the 200-period moving average. Now this level here is sitting between the 7 or the 475 to the 450 area. This is where from a percentage level, you guys can jump in, get in, get out. Nice little trade. It will probably come down and test that 200-period moving average, cut through the zone, hit this, and then bounce up. Probably maybe be a day or two rally. So as we get there, we'll find out and we'll play with it, okay? Boom. Next one. Let's check out the bonds. We're going to do the 10-year bond, and then we're going to go to the 30-year bond. The 1-year bond is looking similar. Come on, bud. All right. So we've talked about the bonds going up here. I talked about it first retesting in 2025, coming back, testing this here, and then seeing it go up. Now, if yields drop, expect the bonds to rise. They are inverse of each other. Now, there are a few times in history that they have not been inverse, but this should be a time where they should be inverse and expect bonds to go up. We've watched them consolidate the bond market. This is the yellow area that we've talked about. I said expect to be a consolidation. But if they lower bonds, which we'll probably do next month, I expect to see bonds reach at least the 116 area to, if not the 122 to the 121 area here. And this will be a simple play. This is another one we need to figure out how to take advantage of with crypto.
Right.
So this one here will be a nice play for you. You go in, we get out, and we're just going to follow the 8-period moving average. You can see we're already playing off of it right now. It's coming in, tapping, it's going to go up. So I expect this to continue up. Now, we could be playing off of the weekly and or the daily. The daily is just, or the daily is already starting to get going. The weekly is just starting to. So I expect it to go up around, maybe pull back into this lower level, and then it can continue up. So we'll find out. But it's something that I'm looking to take advantage of and give you guys the opportunity to do it as well and notify you. All right, next one is going to be the 30-year bond. Same thing. 30-year bond is playing in our range here that we've talked about. This range has been basing off of that 8-period moving average over the last few weeks. And you can see the daily is starting to play off of the 8. Okay, you can see here it's playing there. And you can see here now that we're starting to see volume increase. And especially at the lows here, look at the amount of volume coming in at these lows. The amount of volume is increasing on buyer days, which is a very bullish sentiment for bonds. Okay, so we'll see what happens here. Boom. VIX should drop. And you probably, or excuse me, VIX should increase if we start to see turmoil in the market and the housing situation. So I'm giving us a fulcrum here because it's kind of topsy-turvy. Topsy-turvy. The reason why I'm saying this is because if the housing situation, the job situation progresses and it gets worse, expect this to go down first. I talked about a sell-off before we saw the increase, right? And so if Trump has the ability to get those manufacturing jobs going and up and running and bring the government employees into the private sector with really, really good jobs, this is where we're going to see the upswing. But I said he has 6 months to a year to really get that done before midterms. So he needs those rates to drop to really get the manufacturing building going again. All right, so you can see here what's happening here. I'm looking at the VIX. I normally don't look at the VIX, but I'm paying attention to the VIX because I want to see if the VIX starts to pick up.
A measure of volatility.
Yeah. I'm sorry, yeah, measure of volatility. So I'm paying attention to this now. Normally I don't, but typically when things start to get crazy, I'm looking for demand wicks. I'm looking for strong demand wicks. And in this same sense, you can see here, I'm not really seeing much. This is a good thing. So we're going to keep our eye on this over the next couple of weeks to see what happens here. Okay, next, let's go into the China and Russia situation. We've been paying attention to this, right? Because we want to understand what's going on with China's economy. Now that they're talking about, now that they're talking about what's congealing.
Which index do you have up there, Pedro?
This is the PGJ.
China's stock market.
Yes, China's stock market, the PGJ. I look at this because this allows me to be able to see their stock market, what's happening. Now, throughout all the turmoil that we saw during the actual trade wars, and I honestly don't think it's going to be over. I think Trump is probably going to have to bring the hammer down at the mid-year mark because I think they're going to lie. They're trying to stall.
Me too.
Yeah. So
the longer they stall this, the better for them.
Yeah. And Trump is not playing. He's like, either you do or you don't, bro. Like, that's just how it works. So, and that's how he talks to him, bro. You heard me. Um, but in the
They're
same,
very extinguished gentlemen.
very, he's Indeed and Bro and Tubular and
That was an inside
Rockstar.
joke, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
baby. All right. So you can see here, it's kind of just sideways action. We talked about this sideways action here between that 32 area and that 19 area or 20 area. I'm expecting to sustain this level until we really see a finalized real system that's actually going to be beneficial for America and also China. So they're working that out back and forth. If that does happen, you could see China first pull back, as we always say. If it's going to go well, it's not going to go straight up. Just like when you have great earnings, it doesn't go up. It normally shoots down. Why? Because banks want to buy on discount. They never buy on premium. What do? They buy the news, or they buy the rumor, sell the news. So expect this to sell off first, back down to that 25, 24 area, 23, and then shoot back up. All right. In Russia, and this is again another ETF, IRUS. Russia, Mother Russia. All right. So I'm expecting Russia, as we start to see this thing going on between America and China. I think Russia might be iced out. I think there might be some icing out here. So we'll see what happens. But if that does,
do you have the stock market or the ruble up?
Their stock market.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you could trade the ruble, but the ruble is, anyways. I would expect it to pull back down. I think they're going to get iced out. We'll find out what happens, but I don't have a positive view of this because everybody wants to become friends with America again, even though they don't like us. Look, we're smart, big, we're a genius, big bully on the world. And we've been lackadaisical, but now we've kind of got our fire back and we're like, dude, if you ain't playing by our game again, we're going to be legit. We're not playing.
Too legit to quit.
So long story short, I would expect, I don't see Putin playing the game of America. If Trump can work things out, but with what we're seeing with Putin and not Kyrgyzstan, Ukraine, thank you. And Zelensky, this just isn't working well. And so I think Trump is probably going to maybe just burn that bridge and say, this is what you do or you don't. Like, I'm not playing games anymore with you, right? And I think Putin is definitely going to buck against that. And so this is why I expect to see a drop. And I think Trump will probably go to China and goes, if you want to keep this going, this trade deal, and this is where I'm talking about, like that intermedium between Trump and that trade deal, he's going to have to ice out Russia to bring that war to an end. And so this is where I'm expecting to see some really fighting back and forth. From a financial standpoint, we talk about this. They push this market up, and I think they're going to drop it. That's the reason why I'm not seeing any demand wicks going up. So if you're looking to short something, I would wait for it to maybe typically be that 29.60 area, if not low. And if you're wondering, you can trade this with options. Okay, next, let's check out the US dollar. This is our Trumpian dollar trade. We talked about it up here at these levels of 109 area. I said expect it to get down to that 100 area, and then get and play between that 97 to 95 area. So now that we're watching this trade progress, and if you don't believe me, go check out our inauguration live stream. I went over all these trades here. It was very clear and clean. Give me 1 second. I gotta get some water. Go ahead, Tom.
Welcome, Derek Breland, to the show. Long time no see, correct? Ladies and gentlemen, the mighty Kaching is in the audience, viewer extraordinaire, longtime viewer, OG of the DYOR Media Network. Thanks for joining us all the way from the crappy state of Minnesota. I mean, great state of Minnesota, crappy governor of Minnesota.
All right, guys. So you can see here that we have the 8-period moving average continuing to hold. So one of the ways you're going to see a bullish sentiment really kick in is we've got to get above that 8-period moving average. Now, until the world is still hemorrhaging and doing business with America, and I hate to say hemorrhaging, but yes, until they're doing business with America, I expect the dollar to stay low. Okay. And so if we start to see it,
which is fine for us right now.
Yes,
it's actually quite fine for us.
Yes, because people want to do business with America, because it's cheaper to do business with America right now because our dollar is low. Don't let the media talk BS
down
here.
The walls.
Yeah. All right. So you can see here that
down the walls.
So this is the area. So I'm expecting this to play in this area here. As Trump it gets everything up and running. And again, I would think we would sustain this level for a while. Okay. For, I mean, probably 3 years, I would expect 3 to 4 years. I mean, as long as he's in office, I would expect to see something of this nature here. Next, let's go into crude oil. Crude oil, we've seen this thing putting in the buyer wick here, as you guys can, or the seller wick here. We're coming in. You can see here we're going first thing up. I always say if it goes up in the first of the month, expect to do what, Tom?
Go down.
Exactly. So I would expect us to come back and tap that 8-period moving average on that monthly. Expect this to hit this area here. Probably it might play around. So that 8 of that 66 to 67 area here, around this level here, and then to see it turn around and to come back tap this lower. You can see here we had no demand wick here, and we talked about that at the beginning of last month. I said expect this thing to go down because we don't have a demand wick here. We gapped up into supply, went up, pulled orders, and came back down. And then also Trump came in with the hammer and said, knock that crap off. So boom.
Thou shalt lower prices. And the world did.
And the world did. Exactly. All right. Crude oil. Let's talk about crude. Actually,
that was crude oil.
Gas. Yeah. Sorry. Let's talk about natural gas. Natural gas is one of the primary things that we actually export. I think this will actually go up because, again, this is a Trumpian play. And we talked about it down over here at the beginning of the year that we expected natural gas to go up because it's going to make money for us as we export it out into the world. And the fact is that the U.S. dollar is so low, even though that goes up, it makes it advantageous for people to do business with America here. And I would expect this thing. We saw a big seller wick here, but we're going down first at the beginning of the month. And when we see it go down first at the beginning of the month, we should expect it to go up at the end of the month. And so everybody knows, if you go back and look at my cycles, I partition each week over what we actually should see within that month. So you can see here, we're coming down first. We don't have any demand wick. If you look at last week's or last couple of days, we have no supply wicks. The only supply wick we have is up here at that 418 area.
Seems fishy to me.
Exactly. So I would expect it to push up. We are at a demand area here, but we could come back and test that 289 before it pushes back up. And you're like, that's a big swing, Pedro. I know. So I think we should expect it to see it go up, but we will monitor this.
Pedro, quickly, I read an interesting article talking about natural gas and crude, and that there's not enough. If there's drill baby drill for oil in the U.S., there's not enough exploration teams in the U.S. to handle both drill baby drill and oil, and to keep up the massive rate of fracking that we have going on. So I think if they pull capacity away from natural gas fracking, which has dropped our prices dramatically and increased supply dramatically, and start the drill baby drill, I think you'll see a slowdown in the expansion of the natural gas fields and stuff like that, which may push the prices up over time.
Yeah, could be. We could see it. We definitely could. From more of a fundamental standpoint, definitely. I'm just looking at the charts. Let's hope it works out. We'll find out what happens. All right. So we talked about gold. Every time we have red days, we see a huge amount of volume. You can see here that as the market is pushing up here on this daily, you can see there's no demand wick for the monthly, right? If we go up at the beginning of the month, I'm expecting to go down. We've got a few supply areas here on gold you can actually take advantage of. You've got this little area up here on the weekly chart. Okay, boom. And is this, yeah, it's weekly. You got this area here sitting at that 24.13, and we're testing that 8-period moving average on this weekly, but we definitely violated and pushed it much below. On a monthly standpoint, we've talked about it coming back and testing that 3130, 3187 to that 3123 area. This is important to pay attention to. If gold goes down here and we start to see it, that means that the world is de-escalating, and I am expecting then for the volatility VIX to also keep low. This is why I'm paying attention to the both sides and seeing what's happening here. So it's important to be paying attention to that. Again, I'm also monitoring the housing market here, paying attention to the numbers and seeing the fluctuations happening before the rate close. The most calamitous, fantastica.
Insert your adjective of choice there, ladies.
There you go. I know. Something that would really be bad is if we lower rates and we don't see an increase in housing. That's when I expect this thing to go up. But ultimately, as of right now,
it's going to be hell to pay in the midterms if interest rates come down and the economy doesn't show signs of life in the housing market.
Exactly. Sure. So that's why we need to pay attention to that. What I always say, there's no demand wick. We're going up first to go down. So I'm looking at that 34,300 or 3413, 3400 area as a resistance level. Next, let's go into copper, which is the bellwether of the economy. And we've talked about this area acting as resistance of that $5.19 area. You can see we hit it again. We're selling off. But I actually like this because you can see here that we're coming down the beginning of the month. We're going down. So if this is going to go on, that means that there should be an expectation to build housing. So if we build housing, if we build houses that can I won't even artificially, it's this way it should be. Right now, it's artificially up because there's not a lot of houses being built. So if they can, I wouldn't say flood, but bring housing into the market, then it should drop the housing prices, hence allowing people to buy housing. So copper is again another one that we need to pay attention to as we move forward. And you'll see me really start to on a daily basis pay attention to it as we talk about it, because we want to understand the full scope of the market, right? It's not just one signal that you want to pay attention to. Now, when the turnover happens, there will be one. What is it called? The something that broke the camel's back. I forget what
feather?
It is. The feather that broke the camel's back. Whatever it is. There will be one if it does happen. So again, I'm more pessimistic because that's just one of those things we're seeing. But the reality is we're coming down here, so we could probably come and test that 485 area. We talked about at the beginning of the year, if we expect to see an increase, right, if we expect to see a big push in housing and things start to get going, if the rates do drop, we would expect to see copper go up, right? Because housing picks up, which means that people will take loans, build, develop housing. Hence, they need copper and expect it to go up. So we did have a nice little play.
That's an important point, Pedro, is for everyone out there, is that copper is so important, even though most of you don't hear about it in day-to-day trading. It's because without it, you can't build any houses. I mean, you can't build anything with electronics in it because they tried to go to aluminum a while ago. Turned out to be a disaster. But copper is absolutely an indicator of the housing market and the health of that.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep moving here. All right, so we've got all that. Now, one of the things we always want to look at as well is I want to see what's happening with China's dollar here. Okay, we're starting to see it come down, which is them again, which means that they should be pushing this market up. So their dollar,
their yuan,
the yuan, not to be confused with the yen. And this is inverse of it. Okay, so this is pushing up, but you can see here that this market, if this is going down, that means that their dollar is going up. So imagine this reversed and it's pushing up. I think if this happens, and I'm talking about the trade deal, I think Trump is going to make part of the stipulations is you can't mess around with your currency. You got to stop that crap. And I think he's going to push that hard, because that's partly one of the reasons why they were able to become juggernauts of industry, because they were able to drop their currency, much like what's happening in America, right?
Right.
But I want to bring this up. As trade starts to pick up, where are people going to put the reserve money? Is it going to be in Bitcoin? Is it going to be in the US dollar? Is it going to be in gold? What are they going to trade in? And this is what's something that as we move forward, there's going to be a real discussion that happens here, because in the past, people always use the dollar over the last 50 years. And so in that same sense, this is going to be a discussion as we move forward, especially when it comes to the Stablecoin Act. Are they going to use stable coins, and how will those be backed? It's going to be real interesting. So be paying attention to here, and we'll start to monitor what's happening here as well. But as of right now, it's going down, which means that the yuan is going up, which is a good thing, right? I think they realize, okay, and I think there should be something in there that Trump, he's talked about how they played with their currency, and he doesn't like it. So I expect that to see a play. Let's check it out.
Mikester, welcome to the show, Mikester. Appreciate the viewage. Remember to share this with all your friends.
And also click on the link. All right, I got to jump on this here because I literally got to bounce in 3 minutes. Boom, Nvidia, boom, we're watching this again, similar situation. Look at volumes going down, look at price going up. Not a good sign. I don't like it. The fact is there's no demand wicks, and we're still going up. Demand wicks is the bottom wick that comes down here. It's that wick here. That's a sign of, if price is selling off, the institutions step in and push it up. If I just see it go up, that means that the institutions are not involved, and the people who are pushing up is, guess who? Novices, the retail, and they're going to get smacked. And the person taking the other side is who? Institutions. So make sure you're paying attention to that. All right, boom. You can see here we're pushing up. I expect this thing to go down. Where? I think that's 78, if not even further back down to that 40 area. We talked about that. I thought we were going to get down there. We did not, but something that I do expect us to see. We already kind of tested this area here, and you're like, dude, we're at 150. I know where we're at. Boom. All right, so 79, and ask Tom, go back and look at a lot of my videos. All I'm saying, I get it. I get it. All right, Google has shown weakness here. But what's interesting is it's going down for the beginning of the month. So I don't expect this to continue up, only because it's not part of the narrative. They are progressing in AI. It's not. But with what's actually happening with the lawsuit and some of the stuff that's happening, they may win, they may not. I don't know. But the reality is it's never good when a company goes and literally the government says, you're a monopoly. You got to stop that BS, right? And so if that does happen,
a 27 union of countries comes together and says that too.
Yeah.
the EU has been very hard on them.
So I expect them to go down here, if not further. And I'm expecting at 150. And fingers crossed, if I can get it at $100, that would be dope. All right, next, Amazon. Amazon, similar situation. The only problem with Amazon is the man caught. I mean, the bad thing about it, the man caught some grief for his $28 million wedding, right? And especially when people are struggling just to put food on the table, it doesn't bode well with him if we have another French Revolution. Man better be stocked up. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, he's got a big ass yacht that he can live at sea for a long time, so I think he's fine. But I tell you, all the 1%er or all the 0.01%ers sure enjoyed his wedding. That's for sure.
Yeah, they did. But shout out to him and his new wife. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Bezos. All right, boom. Next, I like this area though. If we see Amazon come down, versus we're going to test that 50 period moving average, which is going to be that 201 area. So again, I expect maybe at least a 10% pullback on here before we continue up. Apple was interesting, is it's bouncing off these levels here. I'm expecting to come down as we see it. But it's really interesting that Apple has been playing decent amount of volume this week when we watch people buy in. So this might be a sign of something maybe coming out with their AI. I think if they come out with something legit with AI, this would be a very bullish thing. We know that when Apple really comes out with a new product, they do a great job. They just don't release something that's right?
Right.
It's pretty amazing. I.e., the Apple phone, i.e., the iPad, or the
The
not iPad,
iPod.
the iPod. Yeah, these were revolutionary technologies. I think Tim Cook is really pushing it. So we'll see what happens there. Next, let's check out Tesla. Tesla, we could see the
Ugh,
drop that happened.
hurt.
Yeah, he's been saying about the big beautiful bill, and Trump has been like, dude, I will crush you, dog. I ain't playing. So that's going to be a good area. I'm really hoping it comes back down to that 250. But if he keeps talking and creating a new party, I expect it to come down to that 150, if not 100. If that does happen, I would expect him typically to really, they might even remove him from the board. I hope not. But if they do, he'll still be playing in a lot of the stuff that goes on. They might remove him CEO, but it'd be stupid for them to remove him from the day-to-day operations because he's so efficient at what he does. So if that does happen, I would expect a sell-off even deeper coming tapping. I expected that 150 area, but I really am hoping for that 107 area again. So we'll see what
Welcome,
happens as
Roland
we.
Rod, to the show. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
What's up, Rolling Rod? Good to have you, brother. All right, guys. Meta, still a juggernaut. They're coming up the glasses. There are a lot of things that they're doing that they're really going to be pushing out over the next couple of years. Llama is a face kick when it comes to AI. They're one of the best. So a lot of people use them. I use them. They're great just they work with everybody really well, and they're not douchey about it, right? You can use them in a lot of stuff. And yes, that is a techno word, douchey. All right. So unlike Open AI, now you can see here that we're coming back and we're testing that 8-period moving average. You could see it pull back to that weekly 8 as we pull this up here. Expect this to come down to potentially, as we come down into the month, we gapped up all-time high over the week, which is the month, and we can see it, we're coming down. I like that 679 area, if not further, but we'll find out what happens there. But right now we're sitting at that 679 area, which is the weekly 8-period moving average. As we come and tap that, expect us to see a nice little rebound from there. The biggest key here is this: when we're looking over on the monthly trade, that we're going to see if it is it going to ping off the monthly 8, or we're going to sing it ping off the weekly 8. Again, the weekly and monthly are sitting around the same spot, which is again that 647, 646 area. So this is why I'm more adamant to sit there and say I expect to see this thing come down to that area. But we'll see what happens there. Netflix, again, showing incredible strength. It can't keep this up. Again, I'm going to point this out. See this big push up, right? That's big, right? We all know what that is, right? That's that dildo. Again, that's a technical term, dildo candle, right? But what do we notice here? We're seeing a sell-off or a decrease in volume. So I'm expecting to see Netflix sell off, right? And again, where is it going to come down to? It potentially could come down to that 1,095 area. If not further, we could see a good little tap area of that 927 area. And that would be a nice little play. That would be about maybe potentially 20%, 15% pullback. We'll see what happens. Is that boom 30, 30, 60? I don't know. That'd be a lot more. That would almost be like 30, 40%. No? Am I tripping? I can't calculate the numbers. I got to get out of here. All right, boom. So that's in a nutshell. We can go over micro strategies tomorrow, but ultimately micro strategies pulling back to our area that we talked about, coming back down. We tried to tap above here. It couldn't. I'm expecting it to go down with micro strategies, which I actually heard him talking. We talked about, I was like, actually, that's a decent idea, but the street doesn't agree with it. And so I'm expecting this to come back down to that 204 area, if not even further down at these lower levels here. So we'll see what happens. But again, I'm looking at that 210, 185. If we see a sell-off, at least we'll see it come and tap this area here at the 237 area. Give me 1 second. I'm going to make this here. All righty.
What's the difference
That's
between the
about
dotted lines and solid lines for you there, Pedro?
Solid lines are basically zones for me. Dotted lines are potential areas that I want to look to see if the market's going to play off of. When it comes to the purple lines, those are liquidity points, as well as the green lines are liquidity points, but they hold more value. The purple lines, dotted purple, allow you to be able to take advantage of a trade at maybe a couple hours, if not a couple days, if it continues, right? Whereas that dotted green line is really kind of like this is a little less than a zone, but it's still something to be paying attention to. All right, guys.
Gotcha.
I have to head out of here. I am 6 minutes late, and I'm probably going to get yelled at. So,
all right, Pedro. Thanks for joining us today. As always, the Technical Tuesday was packed full of good information. I'm gonna cut this one out and put it up on the great YouTubes as a separate section, since it was so quick and to the point and didn't include lots of my side ramblings and things like that. But anyway, Pedro,
which is phenomenal. I love your sides.
We'll see you tomorrow, my friend.
All right, see you guys. Have a blessed day. Bye.
All right, everybody. Pedro is out of here today. I am going to go over the theme of the day for the show, which talks about Canada a little bit, but really about the whole market in general here. Let me bring up my browser here. But I have to turn Pedro off. No. But anyway, I'm wearing red today. Why? Because it is Canada Day. It is Canada Day here in Canuckistan, where I am now. I'm in Toronto as we speak. Normally I'm in Ottawa, but I am going to be driving. The missus and I are going to be driving to Chicago tomorrow, so we can celebrate the 4th of July with the fam. Yeah, probably both my kids will be there, Striking Junior and Striking Ed, and I get to celebrate the best of both worlds. Canada's Independence Day from, okay, well, nobody, but still it's Canada Day because they need a day. And then, of course, July 4th, Independence Day for the United States. For Canada, it's the 158th birthday. For the United States, it is the 250th, if you can believe that. Actually, it's the 250th of our Army, 249th birthday. Oh, okay, let's see here. Let me try and get this up right here. And I'm just going to leave my picture big. Anyway, I wanted to talk about what's going right in Canada. What's going right with my Bitcoin trade first. I'm up $2. $2 in my Bitcoin trade. Bitcoin is acting a little funny right now, but we'll get to that in a minute. First of all, everyone on Rumble, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Theme of the show for the day today was, oh, Bitcoin, my home and not native land, my home and adopted land. Now, why would I do that? And why would I desecrate the Canadian flag with a Bitcoin? Because the digital, ever since 2014, when Canada first put in its digital kind of rules, which really weren't an overreaching set of rules, they just said, look, we're going to eventually regulate this stuff. So everyone that's going to get a license here may not be a full license and may not have a lot of detailed rules on what to do. Just know we're going to do it. And there's going to be some basics like KYC, and you got to keep reserves, and you got to do the basics, and allow us to inspect your book. All the basics of regulation. They just didn't have the political capital at the time to put out a big bill to do it. And also because Canada does have something the United States doesn't have, which is their parliament can only pass single topic bills, which would be great. The problem is that does work slowly because there's always something more important to get out. And so they just came out and said, look, we're going to come out with detailed regulations later and so forth. So a lot of companies went and got registered early in Canada. A lot of companies from the US came to Canada and listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. So there was a lot of good things going on, but I wanted to talk about specifically for my friends in Canada. First, happy Canada Day. Merry Canada Day. I don't know what it is. All I know is that the first one that I experienced, I was living in Ottawa. It was the 150th big celebration on Parliament Hill. I came from the United States, where there's a giant brass bands playing all the great songs, pomp and circumstance, tradition of celebration, all this. And I get to Canada, and they lead off the big celebration with some performance dancer that is spinning around on the stage like Ray Gun, the break dancer. And then the throat singers. And if you've ever heard the throat singers, the French president actually laughed at them because it was so silly. Maybe some kind of tradition somewhere, but yeah, it's not how you want to lead off a celebration. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, so let's get to the good stuff here. Let me find my list of things. But of course, thank you to Pedro Garcia for bringing all the alpha about the market, what's going on. Really appreciate it. Anyway, some of the good things that have been going on here in Canada regarding crypto, digital assets, and all that, frankly, are user adoption. User adoption. Canada has a very technologically advanced user base for everything here. A lot of the 429 million immigrants that Canada has brought here are sending remittances back home to India and Pakistan and India. And they do that now mostly via crypto because of the low fees. And they don't have to have multiple bank accounts. They just share one wallet, and one person in Canada just sends the money to the wallet. The whole family uses the same wallet. Whatever, it's really easy. Doesn't even cost anything. They just put it in there. Anyone that has access to the wallet, wherever they are in the world, can get access to the money. Transfer it to an exchange. Boom, right in their local account. That type of stuff. Anyway, the user base is growing in Canada. One big study says that there's going to be 30 million users in Canada by this year. There's only 40 million people, of which many of them are under the age of 10 or over the age of 80. So that number might be a little optimistic, as they say. Let me I just got to make sure I can see the comment screen here, and I can't. And I also got to make sure I can see the advertising reading screen, because that one is the most important. Like I said, welcome everyone on Rumble here. If you could drop a like. Remember, you don't need to subscribe to Rumble. You just don't need to. I gotta tell you, every day Grok gets better. I had a whole list of things I wrote down, and I said, format and expand on this for my talk show today. And it did, and it was wonderful. Just wonderful. Shout out to the Canadian Blockchain Consortium. They just had a big event in Ottawa, which I missed, I might add. A black tie event. When crypto industry starts having black tie galas, the user adoption is moving up the chain of command here. Or the chain of adoption, I should say. Where did that go? I'm losing my. Let's see. Talking points. Where is my talking points tab? Hold on, let me bring up. There's got to be a news feed somewhere in this. Carney praises Canadian unity as Canada Day celebrations kick off. And the ads come. Oh, I'm using Google. Why don't I use Brave for this? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to this. I'm kind of monitoring the stream here. Can you guys hear the music? I'm guessing not. All right. Well, what else is going on with the digital assets and in Canada? One of the big successes of Canada has been a company called WonderFi. You may not know it in the U.S., but it's a big company in the U.S. It's gone through many acquisitions. It has acquired many of its products that it offers through acquisitions. And recently, they were just bought for $180 million by Robinhood. Robinhood's expanding a lot. It was not in the Canadian market natively. Said we want to do that, so they came in and bought WonderFi. A big deal. A big local company. Derek Breland. Derek, I did not see your chat from earlier. Derek, thank you very much for the donation, the super chat. We really appreciate it. As I always say, Pedro and I thank everybody for the super chats. It makes a big deal to the algorithm to let them know that something's going on with this stream. And when we separate your money from your pockets and put it in our pockets, it's always a good thing. I'd play the applause, but I'm on the travel setup right now. I don't have the sound effects running. Derek, thank you for joining us once again. Try to tune in every day. I bet YouTube is not notifying you that we're on the air. If so, switch to Rumble. We're trying to get everyone to switch to watch to Rumble, because the more people watch on Rumble, the more ads we get to read on Rumble, and they pay us for that. Anyway, thank you to Derek of the great country of Minnesota that needs to secede from the Union. I watched your Governor Waltz in the Pride Parade recently, and he was shameful. Just absolutely shameful. The things they expose kids to now, I mean, I don't know how you're able to post a A-Boom USA 687. Please don't post links in there. I don't really know how that was possible. I thought I had that. Sorry, I can't have strange links being posted there. Appreciate it, though. Appreciate you watching. Really appreciate viewing the live stream here. Let's make this thing go away. Learn more. I don't care about that. Your stupid ad. Let's go back and try and find some music to keep you guys from not being so bored listening to my voice. We will get let's get the yeah beats, as I call it. There we go. A little loud, sorry about that. We'll back that off. All right, if you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, Pedro was on the first hour of the show talking about Technical Tuesday and all the market indicators. He's expecting things to come down further down in the NASDAQ and in Bitcoin as well, which we've, of course, been talking about for a while. Can't keep going up. And he's also predicting weakness in the housing sector, which he's watching in the form of the copper markets. If the copper markets sink, you'll likely see the housing market sink as well. But today's topic for the a bunch of you guys just joined on Rumble and on YouTube. Derek, I think your donation helped that. We're talking about what's going on in Canada and with digital assets, and that applies a lot to the U.S. too, because it's Canada Day here in the U.S. and it's technically a holiday. But I'm sharing it here with you before I head back to the U.S. Another good thing is the launch of spot XRP ETFs in June. By a couple of different companies has been a game changer, breaking records within days of being offered to Canadians. It was a big deal, and it precedes a potential XRP ETF in the U.S. So the fact that it's going well in Canada shows that the early adopters are putting their money into the ETF, which bodes well for the ETF in the United States. Also, one of the big things that happened here this year, Consensus moved from Austin, Texas to Toronto. If you can believe that, yeah, I know. But anyway, it was a big deal. So the Consensus show here in Toronto in 2025 was a massive was a massive deal. It was a big deal. The province of Ontario invested in it. They said, we want you here. Toronto is a kind of a capital. Ethereum was founded here, a capital of digital assets and cryptocurrency. We want the innovation to come back to Toronto here in the form of bringing consensus and all the people that have to do with that here. And it was a massive success. I wasn't able to attend it because Striking Jr. was graduating as a rocket scientist, so I had to go to that. And Pedro couldn't make it either, but it was a big deal and a big win for Canada. Expect to see them back. One of the things that's important for any jurisdiction, any university, any country, any kind of demographic in the trading world is the difference between retail and institutional. And Canada is starting to get institutional adoption. Canadian institutions are embracing blockchain. This is one of the interesting points with Galaxy Digital, which is headquartered in New York, but they're listed in Toronto. They went public in the Toronto Stock Exchange, leading the charge in digital asset investments and launching spot Bitcoin ETFs. The big deal was done in Canada first because they provided that regulatory environment. While the United States was busy with the Biden administration and Elizabeth Warren beating everybody up, you Bitcoin people have to go away. Canada was saying, come on, bring your money here. And people did. The major banks and firms are exploring blockchain. The major companies are a little slower in the banks than in the U.S. The U.S. banks have been buying and or applying for their own patents in blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies and all that. And also, but the major banks and firms are starting to put money into that now. Especially, one of the issues was that the previous government here in Canada was very anti-Bitcoin because the other party was pro-Bitcoin. So they just said, if you're pro, and we have to be not pro. And so if you recall, when the price went from 60,000 down to 18,000, it was a big deal here. They were telling one side that if grandma had invested all their money in Bitcoin, that she'd be bankrupt right now. First of all, that wouldn't have been true. She just waited a few months, she would have been rich. But it was still a talking point for a long time. They glossed over the fact that grandma doesn't invest in Bitcoin, but that's not the point. It was not good government policy for a while. And towards the end of the Trudeau government, that started to reverse itself because in many of the filings that the MPs and other government ministers had to do, it showed that they owned Bitcoin, it showed that they traded and owned cryptocurrency. And so the views on that started softening. It didn't hurt them that the price came up above that $60,000 when they started criticizing the other sides. So we see adoption from the government and the institutions as well. Let's see, what other good things? I think that leads into discussion about the government regulation, and I'm going to lead this into the CBDC talk as well. Nobody that watches our show wants anything to do with CBDCs, right? Central bank digital currencies. But oh, look at that. All right, I'm going to take an advertising break here, ladies and gentlemen. I need to put this on the main screen first, though. Got to take advantage of this when I can. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking with us during this advertising break. We want to thank everyone at Rumble for letting us participate in the Rumble Creator Program. We want to thank their advertising base, especially Truth Social. If you're looking for a great place online for news, discussion, and entertainment, then check out Truth Social, Donald Trump's social media website. You'll get breaking news stories and commentary from top media figures, and of course me. If you want to see Trump's legendary Truth Social posts, then get on Truth Social today. Join a growing community of patriots on a free speech platform designed to avoid censorship and cancellation by big tech. Make your voice heard. Join the movement. Join Truth Social. And ladies and gentlemen, viewers, you could click this QR code here on the screen or in the comment section of where you're watching this and just visit the website that it takes you to. It shows the advertisers that our viewers are real people. And then there's also an outside chance that you'll follow their instructions and sign up. But DYOR Media has a YouTube, I'm sorry, that was a mistake, has a Truth Social account, and we get a lot of interaction on that Truth Social account, especially since YouTube and other people are derating our content because we talk politics a lot in our in patronized discussions. Truth Social does not do that. What they do is they provide a fair platform for everyone to talk on. They don't censor it, and it's good. It's good for us. We get a lot of good viewers here on Rumble from our posts on Truth Social. And our Truth Social account is DYOR Media. Just search for that, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you to Rumble, and thank you to Truth Social. Remember, visit truthsocial.com and sign up, or click the links. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by our advertising reading. Derek says, yes, Tom, Waltz is a complete and utter embarrassment. Really, the people, I guess the people in rural Minnesota just don't come out and force to vote. There's just as many people in the bigger parts of Minnesota as there are in the city centers, and they're just not voting enough. Nope. It's not a good thing over there. Anyway, back to what's going on in Kanukistan here. Like I said earlier, Canada's regulation and clarity has positioned it as a global leader in blockchain and crypto innovation, contrasting with the U.S.'s slower progress. The Canadian securities administrators provide a pragmatic oversight framework under provincial security regulation. In fact, I've met a number of the guys from, I should say guys and gals, from the various regulatory agencies, everything from the Bank of Canada to the Ontario Securities Administration, the Canadian ones also. Very few of them hold views like the people in the United States do at the regulatory world. They're very pro, very pro crypto, not because they're being directed to it. It's because many of them are younger and have used crypto. The federal government now ensures federally regulated entities like banks comply with clear legal requirements when engaging in crypto activities, promoting responsible adoption while maintaining financial system integrity. They went about that from the beginning, and it was very important to them. It wasn't just, okay, we're going to have these 4 basic rules and that are very basic, that behind the scenes do whatever you want. But they let them know early. There's going to be, anyone that steps out of line here, there's going to be a coming to Jesus for the whole industry. And at every trade show that I went to here in Canada, I got to tell you, there was a focus on doing things right. Also, the Retail Payments Activity Act requires crypto payment service providers to register by November 15th, last year, ensuring accountability while allowing innovation to thrive. This is something the United States doesn't have, but the state of New York kind of does. And a lot of states have similar laws, but New York's is the strongest, and that's essentially money transmitter laws. In Canada, if you use electronic forms to take people's money in and then to pay other people, like bill payment services, money remittance services, you have to register with the Bank of Canada's PSP program. You have to become a payment service provider. You get the terminologies wrong, Ron. Don't give me grief for that. And it has certain requirements, like you have to have your books be audited. You have to maintain reserves. You have when you're holding customers' money, it has to be in separate accounts. So if your company goes bankrupt, the custodian account doesn't get dragged into the bankruptcy proceedings. And that's just basic logic. But it's things that, amazingly enough, many people overlook. This has been going on in Canada for a while, so it gives everybody a playing field. And all you have to do is abide by the rules. And the government actually promotes you here because they want to see their businesses survive, and not survive, to do well, to do very well. So we gave you a level playing field. Now let's take over the world. Then we'll talk about Quebec later. While some provinces like British Columbia have introduced restrictions on energy-intensive crypto mining, these measures aim to balance sustainability with blockchain growth, ensuring long-term viability. The mining business here in Canada is not just gold, silver, platinum, rubidium, obsidian, all that kind of stuff. It's Bitcoin mining. And the Canadian Blockchain Consortium with Colia and her crew up there with Jade and Alexis are doing a bang-up job. They literally educate all the politicians in Canada about what's going on here and have helped bring knowledge to the political scape much sooner than that happened in the US. It took this recent election for many of the politicians in the United States to come up to speed. Obviously, some politicians in the US were early adopters in on it, but in Canada here, being a smaller place, they're able to educate their local officials and their federal officials much more quickly. On that note, there's Quebec. Quebec's Energy Board has taken steps to reassess energy allocations for crypto mining, reflecting a thoughtful approach to integrating blockchain into the energy grid. If you recall, starting a few years ago, and even up to a couple of months ago, the narrative was that crypto uses too much energy. What they've left out in a long time is that the crypto industry, by consuming more energy, has created a new customer base, a competitive customer base for power generators of the world. Even the power generators of Quebec and Alberta and British Columbia, and even those in New York and Washington, because power flows over borders. And they've come up with new ways to generate power, or more efficient ways to generate power. They're capturing off-gassing at oil wells and natural gas fields and things like that. They are expanding hydropower here in Canada, and especially Quebec. They have so many lakes and rivers that they can get free power from the movement of water. That's not free, but it's cheap. And they're coming up with new ways to make existing plants much more efficient. When you have a plant that's basically a cost-plus operation for making electricity, and they're able to tack on their cost plus 20% to everyone that has an electric bill, you don't get a lot of innovation. When they have some of their big clients saying, hey, we're going to move to that guy just next door here because he can offer us electricity 1 cent cheaper per kilowatt hour, they take notice and they say, all right, we'll bring the price down. And then behind the scenes, they want to increase their profits. So they work on making everything more efficient. The Bitcoin mining process, including the high performance computing industry, think Amazon Web, think artificial intelligence, Amazon Web Services and artificial intelligence, use a lot of power. And those data centers can choose where they're located and from whom to buy power from. So they cause innovation, and many people look over that, or I should say overlook that. That's like a whole nother show. That could be a trade show in itself. Derek says, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Duluth make our voting decisions. Got to fix that. To be honest, Derek, anywhere where there is always a majority of one party, like in Chicago, Cook County, that type of stuff. For a long time in Iowa, the Democratic Party, usually there's entrenched corruption prohibiting the other party from doing well. An old friend of mine that was a U.S. attorney here in the U.S. when giving a speech about corruption spoke about that, and they started to root it out in Chicago. They got rid of all the old Democrat Party machine apparatus that was doling out jobs and all that type of stuff for votes. That last happened with the Daley administration, Richard M. the youngest Daley, and ever since then, it's at least that brings organization, but it's been a shit show. Oh, the doggeth bark every day during the show. Let's see. Oh, there's Mrs. Striking there with the dog barking. All right, so what else has been going right here? First, let's mention one thing that's gone wrong. Canada did suffer some of the issues that the rest of the world has been seeing regarding crime in crypto. In fact, the CEO, Dean Skurka, I can't remember his last name. Sorry, Dean, for getting your name wrong. Only mentioned 3 times. Was the CEO and founder of WonderFi. Was famously kidnapped in downtown Toronto, right off University Avenue. Tossed in a van, driven around for hours, and dropped off in a park far away. I believe after paying a substantial ransom. I don't know the details of it. Unfortunately, that happened, I think it was about a year ago or so, here in Canada. So, wealth does bring downsides, and especially innovation. And when you're a public person, the downside of this crypto industry, it's new, and many of the people involved in it didn't grow up with security on their minds. And you see the crime aspect of it. The good news is a very large American company just bought WonderFi, cementing their growth into Canada. Robinhood. Robinhood's going through an amazing transformation right now. When we all started it 4 or 5 years ago, we were just trading Dogecoin on it, and that's how they traded some stocks, and they added crypto and got your Dogecoin trading, and everyone joked about it, and everyone moved on to other apps, basically because Robinhood was turning into like the AOL of the industry. And then Robinhood said, not so much. We hold one of the largest caches of Bitcoin, and then let the world know that. And all of a sudden, everyone else started taking them seriously. And then they started using some of that money to improve their platforms, improve their offerings, have brought all kinds of tradable things in that are not just regular stocks and options on that. And now with the Trump administration bringing clarity to that, they are expanding greatly. And now you're seeing them come to Canada and not just buy a Canadian company and run with it. They're coming here and investing many millions of dollars into the market because they know that everything that I've just spoken about, the user base that's educated and technologically advanced, the clarity in the government regulation market exists. They're not having to wait for bills to be passed, then get sued and interpreted, and then blah, blah, blah. Everything's running and going along fine here. And they bought a company that is fully licensed and has been in the business for many years. Confidence in the Canadian market is for sure thorough. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've got any comments or questions, let me know here. While I'm talking about Canada, it's Canada Day. I'm wearing red for it. I'm married a Canadian, so I'm talking about it. Next week I'll be talking about what's going right in the U.S. We won't be on the air for the 4th of July, but we will be for sure talking about it. Let me find my ad reading roll. No, let's bring the pricing back. Let's find out what Bitcoin's. Let's take a quick break and me talking about Canada, talk about Bitcoin, where my trading is at. Let's bring the pricing back up here. Let's get a current price on that. Bitcoin. Let's run the great graphics machine. I'm having a little difficulty. I'm on my travel setup here, which is not exactly great. Let's see. No, that's not what I want. Nope, that's not what I want either. This one. Let's bring up this one. Oh, I gotta be wary of these things. All right, where are we with Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen? Obviously, if you're here earlier, you heard Pedro talk about it. But I'm going to talk about quickly about my growth in the world of trading. As many of you know, I spent time in the commodities and futures markets in New York City in the old World Trade Centers before they got blown up. Before they got blown up the first time. 9/11 was the second time they got blown up. Many of you don't even know that. But anyway, I worked in the New York Mercantile Exchange, the Coffee, Sugar, Cocoa, Cotton Exchange, what is now the New York Board of Trade, blah, 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 all these types of things. Well, and then I left that during the recession of the early 90s and worked in the manufacturing business for a few decades. Got back into this financial stuff because of crypto, because of COVID, and really enjoying it. I've been listening to Pedro over a number of years talk in my ear while I've been producing the show. Never really took what he said seriously because I was busy producing the show. And then I said, you know what? instead of doing all these various gigs regarding live streaming and all that, why don't I just go back to trading? And so I said to Pedro, I said, all right, we're going to start doing that. And it wasn't until this year where I started trading on a demo account for a long time, which I still do, using our show sponsor here, BidFi. This is their chart up here of the Bitcoin futures chart. Make sure I can see everything here. And I've been taking lessons from Pedro, listening to him on here, and after the show we talk a lot. And also from Crypto Lifers Discord group. I am a member of that. And that is a very good community. It's a community I wish we had here, but Pedro and I are not a day trading show, so we don't get that crowd. But anyway, I've learned a lot from that. I had to unlearn a lot of the things that I learned back in the day, and one of those things and a bunch of new things. One of the new things is just patience and discipline. Just learning when not to trade. There's some traders in that group that make 4 trades a month. And they make a lot of money. It's like 4 trades a month. When I was, first starting this, before I knew I was making mistakes and went back into demo trading, I was making 4 trades an hour. Like, oh, I gotta buy this, gotta sell that, buy this, buy that. Didn't make any money doing that. You lose trades. You wear your brain out. You're not doing things based on having trading models. All this type of stuff. So I said, all right, I'm gonna do it now. So I started with $500 in my account 2 weeks ago. And I got it up as high as $1,400 recently. And then I made another rookie mistake, which I periodically do. I would show it, but I'm on my travel setup. I'm not logged into any of that stuff, so I can't show it to you now. And I had a pretty sizable loss. I lost like $350 on a trade because I hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong button on it, and not so much of a panic, but in more along the lines of, oh, I need to get this done right away because the market's going to go against me. Instead of getting out of a trade, I essentially doubled up on it. And I didn't realize that I had. And before I knew it, the price had sunk. Actually, what happened is that the price went up a little bit. So on my chart, it looked flat. My account, it looked flat. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But the indicators were saying it's going to go down. And so I went and did something else for 20 minutes, came back, and I was down $350. So I closed out the trade, and of course the market turned around. It went the other way. It wouldn't have done that. But that was a big learning lesson for me. I didn't like that at all. And that's been with the things that I've learned about having a trading model, having patience, having discipline, and having the right mindset. I still make rookie mistakes. Why? Because I'm a rookie. That's why. I'm a rookie. Derek asks, when is the next bull run? It's not yet. We're not in the current. We're not in the next bull run yet. We just aren't. Everyone said 18 months past the last halving is when it starts. We're right at 18 months. It's not starting. The last halving was in April of 24. It should be starting soon. But you'll know when you start seeing the price of Bitcoin going up 10 grand a day. That's when you'll know. Mikester says, ride the wave. Anyway, so what I was talking about with learning how to trade, it was beat into my head that it's about mindset. You have the right mindset. You have to be happy in your life. You have to be happy with what you're doing during the day. You have all these things, because if you're not, your brain goes a different way when you're trying to trade and you make mistakes. Or you just don't do it right, or you do it for the wrong reasons. If you come in and say, oh my God, I've got $500, I've got 20, or I've got 5 grand worth of bills I need to pay, let me trade it to make that in the next 2 or 3 days, you're gonna lose your $500 and be out of it. That's not how it works. You have to say, I've got $500, I'm gonna make $20. And that's a very successful trade. And then you have $520, and then you say, all right, now I'm gonna make $21, now I'm gonna make $25. You have to work your way up if you're starting small. So the goal of this is for me to take this account and turn it from $500 into 5,000, and then 5,000 into 10,000. And I believe the 0 to, or the 500 to 5,000 will be the most difficult, because I'm dealing with small amounts. But I'm using leverage well, leverage properly, and I'm using 2 different trading models that I found myself to be pretty good at. One is Crypto Lifer's 200 SMA, the 200 simple moving average. When price action moves above the 200 moving average, it's likely going to have a pump after that. And if the 21 period or 20 period, whichever you use, comes up and crosses and touches price action during that, that confirms it. And it's almost all the time. There are times it doesn't. It moons after that, or it has a nice pump. And I learned that one from the Crypto Lifers group, and it's been very good. So I've allowed myself to trade real money with that one. Yeah, it's worked out a few times. Famously not worked out a few times, and I've had to learn whether you're trading in the premium or the discount to get that under control. But anyway, and then the other one is the reversals. Reversals when the market moves a lot and there's a liquidity sweep. I allow myself to trade real money with that. It didn't work out today. If you can see here on the chart, I can't touch it today because the way my camera's set up. You see this big dump here. But if you go before that, let me see if I can move this over. I'll go put my mouse on it. This sell-off overnight here that you're seeing right here, that my mouse is moving over, and then it reached a little point down here. It was basically a morning money printer in the right time zone, or the New York session. I'm not good at explaining this because I'm just learning it. Anyway, it started pumping up after that. Came down. If you use the Fibonacci's, the fibs, it came down to the 786 zone. And then started pumping right after that. The classic money printer. I'm allowing myself to trade real money with that because I've started to recognize it well. Not great, but well. And then right where you see the mouse here, and the X, you can't see the mouse, but the top of this peak here. I don't know what you can see on the stream. Jerome Powell started speaking, and he mentioned right at the top here, top of this today's peak, where all the red volume is. That's where he started talking about they would have lowered rates if tariffs had never come about, and the market just said, "Oh crap!" So tariffs are inflationary. Thus, we're going to dump Bitcoin, and Bitcoin dumped and stopped me out, and I lost my trade. But I had read the model right. I was influenced, or the market was influenced by Powell. So I'm very happy with myself that I read the model right. I entered the trade. My stop order worked, kept me from losing more money than I planned to lose on the trade. And so these things have allowed me to grow the account from $500 up to $1,400 and then lose. I take that back. About $250 to $300 of the growth was, I don't know what the right word to it is, when you get that home run. And SEI was pumping. Let's take a look at SEI. I don't know if, yeah. BitFi does have SEI here. This is not, the chart says Bitcoin here, but it is not. Let's get the 1 hour chart up for them here. Last week, SEI did this here. For many hours straight, it just pumped. It just pumped for about a day and a half. Just kept going up, and I caught the wave of that. A small futures bet, and I'll call it a bet. No, it's not a trade. Brought in a nice trade, a nice winning trade. And then after it peaked, you saw the top when it popped right off here. I just thought to myself, well, that's going to go down for a few days. So I made a few bucks on the way down too. So some of my gains were from the home run trades, as they say, the one-offs, the lucky ones. But most of them were from the two models that I spoke about. I gotta check the ad situation here. Oh, I missed one. Drat. Anyway, for the 10 of you watching on Rumble, thank you very much. Oh, look at that. I did get one. Let's do it on this side today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have you still not tried 1775 coffee? I don't know why you haven't. You should. Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units of them. Have you heard me say Bitcoin is limited and scarce? So are the 1775 starter kits. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and no crash. No. Just focus without the crash. I do like that. All single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip. Why? That's right, because freedom isn't served in plastic, ladies and gentlemen. Nope, no. That gold spoon clip, no microplastics. You also get a frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions. I'm happy to be with the mother-in-law right now, and we have good political talks. Hint, we're both on the same side. You also get a black 1775 tumbler that says, I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch. I shouldn't have talked about the mother-in-law on that same thing. No, she's very nice. You get $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for 99 bucks. That's right, this is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Here's a hint, ladies and gentlemen, a spoiler if you may. It is worth it. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they are gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they are gone. 1775, if you guys want to send us, a bag of it, we'll put it here. And I'd like to taste it so I can speak truthfully. Anyway, thanks to Rumble for allowing us to be in the campaign section, and thanks to 1775 Coffee. Remember, you can always click the link. It's over here this time. Click the QR link. Please visit it. Let our advertisers know that our audience is interactive and does appreciate these wonderful ads that I read so thoroughly here. All right, everyone. Thanks for allowing me to spend some time doing that. Really appreciate it. Rumble's been a great platform for us. It really has, and the crowd you get over at Rumble is just a much better crowd than you get on YouTube because of generally the way Pedro and I talk about politics and regulation. We were obviously, because of crypto, we were very anti-Biden and Harris administration, and obviously. During the elections, we supported the Republican Party in our talks, not talking about financially or anything, just in our talks because they were pro-crypto and one was anti-crypto. If the roles had been reversed, we would have been like, we support these people. And it was interesting how it came out later that the crypto industry did come together and a lot of people were single issue voters in it. Mikester says, thumbs up. Yes, thank you very much, Mikester. Really appreciate it. But the crypto industry, and this is backed up by research from none other than Justin Wallin, our Crypto Swamp Creature show co-host, in which said that people in the crypto industry, while being of all demographics and all political persuasions in the first place, were tired of the Democratic Party calling them basically all criminals. And that didn't go well. You don't win votes by telling 20 to 40 million people, depending on how you count, that they're criminals. It just doesn't work. And guess what? They didn't vote. they didn't vote for him. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we were talking about Canada Day here and what's going on in Canada. But I covered all the good things going on in Canada. But the one thing I wanted to finish off with, let me bring that article back up here. Oh, you know what I'm not going to find the article in time. Anyway, one of the things was that I wanted to talk about was CBDCs, and we talk about governments all over the world trying CBDCs, evaluating them, and many governments of the world are like, "Hey, this is a great plan. We can control all the money." I mean, you think the Federal Reserve, U.S. Treasury control the dollar? They really don't. They control how much of it's out there. They don't control how it's used. They don't control who can have it. They try to with sanctions, like whole countries and all this type of stuff. First of all, it doesn't really work. Two, the rest of the world is still there. And people are free to use the dollars all over the world. And as you can see, almost every major international transaction is settled in US dollars. It's like 80-some%. Wherever the US dollar is not the number one currency, it's the number two currency. Like in the UK, obviously, the pound sterling is the number one currency. The second currency used is the dollar. In all of the EU countries, it's the same way. In many countries in South America and Africa, dollar is actually used more. And so the U.S. has talked about central bank digital currencies, but there also was a group in Canada that was pushing it, including Ripple's lobbyists, and they were talking about it, and they were pushing it because Ripple stands to make a lot of money from advising, consulting, all this stuff on central bank digital currencies, specifically using their ledger technology. Fortunately, everyone in the crypto industry was like, no, this is a bad plan. This is a very bad plan because the government gets to control your wallet. You don't remember, a crypto wallet is just a viewer onto a blockchain. Whoever controls the blockchain controls your money. And so they said, well, they can turn your wallet on and off. They can tax it. They can take money out of it. They can say it's not good for buying guns or internal combustion engine cars. You can only buy it for vegan lunches and kittens. Doesn't go over well with people. And Canada had a bad experience with the government restricting access to bank accounts and crypto accounts during the trucker convoy during COVID. And so the Bank of Canada came out and did a study, said, look, we're going to just do a study on this and see what comes of it. And the Bank of Canada did a very thorough study, which I read all of it, I might add. And they came out and said, there's just no need for a central bank digital currency. People were starting to talk about it. The government wants this, that, and they said, no, we don't. They said, if Parliament passes a law saying there's got to be one, then we'll do it because the Parliament passed the law. They said, but, cash works. Visa, MasterCard work. Their e-transfer system here, Interact, works great. 99.9% of everyone can pay any bill they want with the current system, and fairly inexpensively. Free if it takes cash, a little fee if you use the Interact system, a little bit more if you use a credit card. There's nobody, except for a few people that are A, homeless, B, just don't want to live on the grid. They live off the grid. Or other people that are just unbanked because they just don't have a need for a bank because they're homeless or mentally have issues. B, are those people that just want to stay away from the grid, of which, there's a significant amount of people in every population. They said, we see no reason to force every merchant and everyone in Canada to take another form of payment. You'd have to go and get a new point of sale reader for every business in Canada to take a central bank digital currency, or pay to have everyone else's changed. And if people have a free and open market system to use, like cash or debit cards or something like that, or the government's version, they're not going to use the government's version. Using the government's version is bad in just about every case you can think of. And so they said, that's a massive multi-billion-dollar expense for something that already exists. We don't see any additional benefit. So that stopped the CBDC talk in Canada. As opposed, in other parts of the world, what country was it? Oh, I can't remember. I don't remember if it was the Philippines or South Korea. But they just mentioned that we are shelving all plans for central bank digital currencies because stablecoins will become those. And it's better if we use something that the market uses, something that's free and open rather than micromanaged by the government. And so stablecoins will be instantly transferable. Here's the way to think about it. even if, say, the government of South Korea says we're going to have a central bank digital currency, and it trades 1-for-1 with Tether, you'd be like, all right, whatever. You can trade it, interchange it, it's fine. Or they might say it's not interchangeable. You can't exchange it. You have to go through cash to get one to the other. South Korea could still devalue that central bank digital currency. They could say, all right, now it's 1.25 South Korea CBDCs to 1 US Tether. And that's not good for markets. That's not good for stability of stable coins. So they just came out and said, we're not going to do that. So I respect that for them. You're going to see much of the world switch over to using stable coins. People already get paid in stable coins. It's going to happen. You're going to see the market caps of Tether and Circle and all these similar type of companies skyrocket. And you'll see that in Canada too. Stable coins are perfectly legal here. Will there be any anti-stablecoin regulation? No. Will there be a push for a stablecoin based on the Canadian currency? Probably. And hopefully soon I'm going to have Lucas Matheson, the CEO of Coinbase Canada, on the show to talk about that. All right, well, those are the topics that I wanted to talk about regarding Canada. Welcome all of you viewers from Canada. We have a lot of people here. Crypto Mike is from Canada. We have a number of people that watch us from Ontario and Quebec too. I get a lot of comments and direct messages saying, "Hey, I like the show." Mr. Tom and Mr. Pedro. And so because I spend a lot of time here, I understand how the government works here. I understand how the market works. And I have a lot of friends in the crypto industry. And thanks to Colia at the Canadian Blockchain Consortium, and thanks to Flo over at Blockchain North, two of my friends in the industry that have helped guide me along here. I really appreciate that. Now back to Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin doing? Well, it's 2 o'clock, so we're not going to be on the air much longer here. Pedro and I will be on the air tomorrow. I'm sorry, tomorrow I will not be on the air. I forgot to mention this to Pedro. I'm driving to Chicago tomorrow. We'll be on the air Thursday, the 3rd, but not Friday. I'm going to stay on the air a little bit longer here to build up our hours. Anyway, let's get Bitcoin back up here. Chart is this. This is the 1-minute chart. Let's bring up the 5-minute chart. As you can see, Bitcoin is recovering a little bit from its the Powell smashing it took earlier. I am in a little bit of a long trade here. After it went down what we just call a liquidity sweep, otherwise known as a dump, I got back into the market after getting stopped out earlier in the day. I don't know if you can see the X's here. I got back in right about here at the 105.8. It's now 106.1. And let's see the big bucks here. Let's see the big bucks. And I'm switching screens. I can see that people on Rumble here. Thank you very much, everyone. Remember, we're an interactive show, and you don't have to subscribe and pay Rumble to have an account with them. You can just sign in your Google login or your Facebook login, create an account, and you can press that like button here. And you can comment here and ask questions. If you want to hear Pedro and I, if you want to learn about something, we'd be glad to answer questions. Where we see pricing going. We don't, obviously not going to tell you where we see pricing going, but what Pedro likes to do is tell you where liquidity is. He says, I see a lot of orders in this area, and generally price follows liquidity. Let me find this here. All right, so I've got a big trade on right now. It's massive. It's massive, and everyone that watches this should just like, my God, I can't believe that Striking trades this amount of money. It's $5. My margin used $5.37. That's right. That's how I roll, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm up $2.06. so far for a 63% gain. So you think about that, Tom. You're only up you're only using $5, but I'm up 53%. Imagine adding all of those up. Imagine doing that a couple of times every day. 65% win, 75% win, 100%. Make $5 for $5. That adds up really fast, and I'd make a lot of these small trades, especially when they have fee reduction time, just to have wins. And when you have wins, you have a winning mindset. More green, the better. It doesn't mean overtrade. That's not what I'm saying. When I see my models go, I take it. And this one, particularly this one, was a reversal. You can see on the chart here that the market turned, it just dumped hard. When it does that, there's going to be a reversal in Bitcoin. Now, many of you come from crypto, like tokens and meme coins and things like that. I found I don't trade meme coins or any of those things anymore. And if you're going to be serious about trading Bitcoin, I would forget meme coins and low liquidity tokens, things like that. And the reason is that they bring the wrong mindset to you. You always think what's going to happen with a meme coin or a low liquidity token or something that's new. You think it's going to get rugged, or you think of the top wallet that has 5% of tokens in it is just going to decide to dump on you. So when you see this downturn here, you expect it to go all the way down to the bottom and then have that token end up on our sister show, Rugged, Ruined, and Wrecked, right? And if you bring that mindset, and so you panic sell. You're like, I got to get out, the top wallet's dumping. You set 10 alerts. As soon as that wallet starts doing anything, you come online and sell. That mindset is terrible for trading. First of all, for day trading, especially trading Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a massive market. It's got a $2 trillion market cap. Now, it says right here on the screen, $2.1 trillion market cap. It trades $24 billion a day at least. Famously traded a lot more, famously traded a lot less too. But these two mindsets, crypto, meme coin trading, low liquidity, pump fund type stuff, that is dice gambling, and you take your money and run when you can. In Bitcoin, everything follows patterns, and I'm learning those patterns as I start my trading journey. And you can be confident that the market, when it dumps, is going to come back. There's institutional money. There's a massive futures markets, and not just the perpetuals on MEXC and DeFi and so forth. There's massive amounts of money in the Bitcoin world through the Chicago Mercantile Exchange's futures platform, which has been in existence since 2017. People forget that the futures of Bitcoin, traded just like pork bellies, cotton, coffee, sugar, cocoa, and all that type of stuff, has been traded in the United States since 2017. Markets were very thin for a long time because banks and institutions didn't want to get into, or frankly prohibited from by internal policy or by getting harassed from the US government from playing in that market. But as soon as the wind started changing, All right, we seem to be back. I don't know if YouTube has come back. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we seem to be back now. I don't know what happened there. We had an internet drop for a minute there. Thanks for everyone sticking around and watching the show. I really appreciate it. Every once in a while that happens, like you have perfect internet for months at a time, and then right when you're live streaming, it just decides to not work. Lovely. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I was talking about my trading position here. And in compounding wins, everything adds up. And I was talking about how the trade I currently have on is up $2.50, it's up $3 now. And it's up 75% on its trade. Now, obviously, I have more money in the account, but just this trade itself is up 75%. I used a very small amount of money because when you start with a small account, you can only risk so much. But if you start with a bigger account, obviously, I would be starting with, instead of a $5 trade, I have a $50 trade, and I would have made $100 today, or $75, or turn the, whatever, you know what I mean. But they add up, and they add up every day. And so that's what I'm working on. I'm working on building the account up, and my experience so far has been very good. I journal all of my, not all of them, I forget sometimes. I have a spreadsheet, all my trades, why I took the trade, the trading strategy, you know, the amount of money earned or lost, and it's Excel, so it changes it to green or red based on whether I win or lose. And I quickly get to see visually, we all seem to be, you know, visually oriented now, where certain things work well and where certain things don't work well. And it's very important for you to write down, if you're trading out there without writing down, I mean, you're not writing things down so you can analyze it later. You're making a mistake, because I've gone through periods in which I didn't do that, and I've made a mistake. So Striking's looking at me like, shouldn't the show be over now? Yes, it should, and I had my wired internet connection drop and had to switch to Wi-Fi, so I'm going to switch off of that. I mean, I'm going to bring the show to a close here. But my point was, in that summing up what I'm trying to do, I'm enjoying spending that learning experience with the audience here. I hope all of you come along the ride with me. See if I can make it a go here for day trading. I think I will. I'm putting together some good results, and I'm learning from some very good people. Learning a lot of things from Pedro, and I'm learning a lot of things from my past guest on this show, Sam Price, and the people in his Discord, especially Master Friend in Vancouver. Been very good. Actually taught me how to use leverage properly, of which I thought I know how to use leverage. Turned out I wasn't just wrong, I was completely wrong on how to use leverage. And then, and I'll go over it someday. I have a lot to learn first, but I'll bring that same knowledge to you guys someday. But I'd rather point you to go learn from the expert himself, Master Friend. First, so if you really want to learn about leverage and how it's supposed to be used, at this point, DM me and let me know, and I'll hook you up with him directly. Rumble, we got 12 people on the show now. I'm coming to an end, and a whole bunch more people join. If you got any comments here about the show, just let me know. If you got any questions before I wrap up, let me know. We had a little boop there in the internet connection. So we actually lost people on YouTube there. And apparently that internet connection thing is going on again. So I'm going to take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to end the show today. We don't get to read our third ad because I missed one at the beginning today, which I like reading the ads. We need a bigger crowd so I can read more ads. But because we earned pretty good money from that. This last one we earned 36 cents from. Anyway, the first half of the show was Pedro during Technical Tuesday. He had to bolt today for some previous engagements. So I took the time talking about the good things going on in Canada regarding the digital assets industry. And I can't say enough for my colleagues in the industry here in Canada. They've been very good to me, helping me introduce introduce me to people, I am not Canadian, I'm American. Introduce me to the right people, given me access at trade shows to people, thanks to the people at the Blockchain Futurist Convention Conference. They're having a large conference in November in Miami that we're going to be going to. And of course, we want to bring all you viewers along for that ride as well. Once again, thank you for Colia and Cruitt and Jade and Alexis at the Canadian Blockchain Consortium. Thank you to Flo and Bobby and everybody at Blockchain North. And good luck to Dean Skirkov after selling his company to WonderFi. Selling his company WonderFi to Robinhood. Good job, everybody out there. Today was a Canada Day talk. Next week, or a couple days, will be United States talk for the 4th of July celebration. Will not be on the air tomorrow. Pedro might be on the air tomorrow. If I can get drum up a co-host for him. I'm going to be in the car driving from Toronto to Chicago to go back to America and do the America eagle screaming right now if I could. I don't know what I gotta. Hold on. Let me ban this user forever. Sorry about that, everybody. Forever. Goodbye. Sorry, everybody. Since I'm the only one running the show today, Pedro isn't here. Getting to moderation comments. Ham radio expert. That was not acceptable. Not acceptable language. Anywhere for anything. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you for sure on Thursday. Maybe not tomorrow. Mikester, I don't know why they're so stupid. Mikester, thanks for watching the show. I forget where you're coming to us from. But anyway, thanks to everybody that's watching us. Thanks to my co-host, Pedro Garcia, for doing the Technical Tuesday. Thanks to everybody that's coming along this ride with me as I once again learn to trade and try to make the big fat money here in Bitcoin trading. Like I said, I'm up $3 today. It's awesome. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you today. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to have hosted another great show today. We'll be with you possibly tomorrow, but most likely on Thursday. So be there.